All right, so we will just slowly get started just because it's 5 o'clock and we have lots of things to cover. So to start us off, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Today we will be talking about all the undergraduate research opportunities we have here at Queen's. So just to start us off, I'm going to just quickly introduce myself. My name is Phoebe. I'm one of the co-heads for Synapse this year. I'm a third-year life science student minoring in statistics, and I'm just going to pass it along to Ella, my other co-head, to introduce herself as well.
So hi, I'm Ella. I'm also in third year, but I'm in biochemistry, and I'm the other co-chair of Synapse this year.
Just to give you guys a quick overview of what SINAP is and what we do, we're a science-oriented student club at Queen's University, and our main mission is to promote undergraduate scientific research on campus by hosting competitions, as well as events like Research Uncovered throughout the academic year. So just to give you guys a quick rundown of what today looks like, as you probably know, because you're coming, Research Uncovered is telling all the undergraduate students all the undergraduate research opportunities we have at Queen's. Some of the topics that we will be covering today include summer opportunities, how to get volunteer positions and funding throughout the school year, as well as some research opportunities abroad. We have some very, very special guests joining us today. We have Joshua from Career Services, Kristen from MyTax, Jessica, Dominique from IASTE, and we'll let them introduce themselves once we get there. But because today we have a lot of things to talk about, it will take up about an hour, so from 5 to 6. We just ask that with the questions, you guys can feel free to put it in the chat at any time, but we will be answering and having a little bit of a Q&A at the end, so from 6 to 6:30. Other than that, I'm just going to pass this along to our logistics coordinator, Amber, who was the one that organized this event, as well as who will be the speaker for the remaining of this event.
So hi everyone, nice to meet you all. So getting started, we just wanted to cover a few things before we start talking about the opportunities, and that's about how in general you can get experience in classes and through your courses. So like the first thing we would like to outline is that whichever trick we give you today and whichever like things we reveal about opportunities you can do, you are the primary source of experience that you will get. And the main source of experience is through your lab courses, your field courses, and through any type of volunteering or activities you do on your own time through your school year. So we just wanted to outline like those little 5 points that there is possibilities to get experience everywhere on campus at any time. And that is through your own like perseverance and dedication to finding it. And yes, the main thing is like try to enjoy whatever you do, try to enjoy the clubs you're in, and try to enjoy your classes you're taking, because those are very important. So first of all, we would like to let you know that indeed, as we said before, every single faculty, a science faculty on campus, actually has the ability to offer you some specific independent courses that are based on research, and that can be of your own design. So like here, I'm just outlining the biology and the chemistry courses that are available on campus, but these are completely free to be organized and made by you. So the way that works is that you need to find a supervisor, but any experience you get outside of the classroom, so such as like a research lab during the summer or another university you can be part of, you can work there, you can transform those into credits, and that is through those different courses. So the physics and maybe the engineering departments as well have those. I just don't have the course code, so this is why we're only outlining the biology and chemistry one. But as you can see, you can get different amount of credits, and to get these, the biology, you can go to the biology website and Queen's website, and it's available. And for chemistry, it's a bit harder to find, but here you have the name of the courses. If you go talk to the deans of these faculties, you can figure out the way to make those courses happen. So yeah, so to continue a bit about that, let's start in general, like as we know, the issue with trying undergraduate science is that university is very competitive, and there will always be students that you feel are doing better than you throughout your entire university career, and that's okay. The thing is that don't forget that enjoying what you're doing and participating in activities will help you figure out exactly what you want to do and how to find research. So there is ways in undergrad to just get involved and to figure out what you can do to get experience that will actually be valuable and meaningful throughout your career. Some of these are like to read outside of the courses you're taking. It is something we always want to emphasize is that if your professors give you courses to read, like books to read, feel free to just add one or two more books to that. It's more fun to read 3 books, two of which you've chosen, than to read like one textbook that is like imposed by professors. So yeah, a second thing we would like to emphasize is that feel free to research and write anything that you think can be put in a journal or in an article, because it's something that we're not very aware about, but many undergraduate journals and just scientific are many undergrad scientific journals are always looking for fun, simple articles or ideas that can be published. And that is like example of these are like if you're interested in techniques, in scientific techniques, feel free to just write a small biography, a small like paper about it, or a biography of Herman Stolar. There is many things that can be done and can be accepted by journals, and that is like just a nice and fun way to start on your career. So yeah. So also, we would like to mention that through the year, there is already like a lot of departments that are still offering seminars. And it is very interesting to join them through Zoom because you can get to learn the discipline you like through other ways and like through different curriculum and ideas. So yeah, so that's what we wanted to emphasize. And then we just wanted to mention quickly about writing. There is a lot of the one thing that you need to know about undergraduate work is that when you go out there and you work in a lab or you work somewhere or you help volunteer for a prof, the one thing that will be important is to learn how to write. Like a thesis project or something that is like usually published is something that contains an hypothesis or an idea, data, and then organize all of this into a written project. So it is hard to start writing, but we would like to encourage that every time you do a paper in school or you work on a project, you write on it, you write it and you think about it as if you want this to be published or you want this to go through further. You want like further in your academic career and things like that. Because these are the first steps and those are the keystones of what you will actually make your research experience about. So every time you do a writing, they really think on how you would actually publish that if you wanted to publish it. And as we mentioned before, there is a lot of journals out there that actually will take these and just welcome them. So here are a few notes on them. So we have here the Queen's Science Undergraduate Research Journal that you can contact at any time or look through. There's also the Journal of Undergraduate Life Science that is available. And then there's other journals such as the University of Toronto Journal, the Undergraduate Research in Natural and Clinical Science and Technology Journal. Anyway, so all of these are very good resources to publish work that you've already done. And especially with COVID times, be aware that writing is the one thing that you can do right now. So it's always nice and fun. Then other things you can do is like there's a lot of conferences and competitions you can take part of that actually outline the writing and like help you get your work that is already done out there. So we wanted to quickly mention the undergraduate science case competition, which is hosted by Synapse, but is also a good way to actually write a proposal that is actually published in a journal at the end of the day. So if you participate in this type of competition, you can actually get your research published. And that is a huge step in actually gaining experience. So yeah, so just a quick reminder before we move on to the different speakers. There is many opportunities out there. Thesis projects or lab courses or field courses are a good source of experience that you can get, and hopefully you enjoy them. And then feel free at any time during the school year to actually talk to your professors or to contact them, because they may have like different projects or volunteering opportunities that they don't always outline, but they can be happy to receive you. So even if it's online, feel free to contact them if there's a research you like, because they might just ask you to work on a literature review or to work on some data, like collected data that they want to go through. And this is always good experience. So yeah, so we'll move on a bit, and hopefully we can give you actually the real trick with the different speakers. So yeah.
Why don't you just ruminate whilst I illuminate the possibilities?
So, or first,
Why don't you just
sorry, that was not great. Anyway, so today we're gonna talk. So this is a bit of what we're gonna talk today. We're gonna talk about SWEP first. Then we're gonna cover the NSERC, USHRA, and the USSRF programs. Then we're going to talk about general things, and then we'll move on to other things that we'll talk about. So this is our first section of our event today. So hopefully I can give the mic to Joshua, who will talk about SWEP. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing? Welcome, folks. My name is Josh Settle, one of the career counselors with Career Services. And I'm actually going to borrow the screen sharing here so I can kind of walk through my PowerPoint. And I'm going to talk about the SWEP program. So this is my agenda for today. Talk a little bit about types of opportunities, things to consider for eligibility. We'll kind of talk about the schedule, what's kind of the timeline when it comes to important dates, the process of applying, and some commonly asked questions as well. So something to keep in mind, and a suggestion I would have, is to do a little bit of digging and research, some legwork on your own to see where some of the research funding actually is right now. And a good way to do that is to look at some common Queen's news sources. This is an article I pulled from the Queen's Gazette, which is one of the kind of more common Queen's news sources. And it's from the summer, July 21st. And it provides a little bit of indication as to what some programs are that were granted some funding recently. So this includes Canadian Cancer Trials Group, Snow Lab, and Canada's National Design Network. And the reason I bring this up and mention it is it's good to kind of follow the funding. So feel free to reach out to these programs and ask, are they looking for student volunteers or assistants? And if so, how would you go about doing that? They may very well direct you to SWEP, but it's always good to open yourself up to those opportunities in case there's a different process as well. Considering and thinking about some other opportunities too, you may want to think about the Summer NSERC Research Award. I think we're going to talk about it a little bit shortly, but you can check with your department or discipline for workshops and further information about this process as well too. So SWEP provides Queen's undergraduate students with an engaging, challenging, and rewarding summer work experience. It's funded through the undergraduate portion of the Student Assistance Levy. And the program encourages the creation of on-campus summer jobs that provide valuable experiences for Queen's undergraduate students. So as you can see here, there are a variety of experiences to gain practical skills and get involved in some really unique, interesting projects. Just want to give you a second to look at those. Of course, there'll be more beyond that as well. With regards to eligibility, so you must be in your first full-time Queen's undergraduate degree, and you must be returning in the fall. So if you're graduating in April, unfortunately, this isn't something that would be open for you. Students with disabilities who are registered with QSAS will be also counted as full-time so long as they have a 40% academic load. That's 6.0 credit units per term. Another kind of stipulation or part of this is to work in the SWEP program, you must have a social insurance number. If you're an international student or you don't have a SIN number yet, you can always connect with or reach out to QUIP and they'll have some further information about how to go about that. So this is our timeline. And the SWEP program has actually been running quite strong. This past summer, all of the job opportunities that were agreed upon and offered and kind of signed, we were able to move forward with, which is quite fantastic. And we've had a really strong response this year as well. As you can see, the deadline for employers to submit was recent. I'll give you a little bit of an indication as to where we're at with that in a little bit. So what I would recommend, just looking at the dates here, is after this semester, over the Christmas break, taking a little bit of time to check in with the My Career web portal from time to time, just to see what SWEP opportunities are there. And you can access My Career by visiting Queen's Career Services webpage. You'll find it on our homepage there. It's just below a couple drop-down menus on the top left. The reason I like to mention to look over it over Christmas break is to give yourself enough time to put together some quality documents for your application and to potentially gain some feedback or even get a cut resume or cover letter appointment review. And those you can also book in our My Career system. I did want to mention that sometimes at the deadline, so February 8th, you'll see is the deadline for applications. Sometimes at that deadline, our system gets a little bit overwhelmed and it might feel like you're having technical difficulties and it's crashing. It's like, oh no, I missed the deadline. Feel free just to email us at mycareer@queensu.ca, provide kind of your application docs, explain what's going on. The email is going to be timestamped, so we'll have a little bit of information about that. And oftentimes we're able to work with students to make sure that those are submitted. The other thing to keep in mind here too is applications become available to employers on February 11th, and they have until the end of March to complete their hiring process. So thinking about applications, when you should hear back, it will take time for them, one, to review the applications, two, they need to leave enough space for interviews, and three, there needs to be an agreement and needing to sign something. So I would say if you haven't heard, maybe check in, I don't know, at the end of February, a couple of weeks into March, just to see where they're at in the process. When it comes to applying, first, obviously making sure you're eligible to apply, take a look at those postings. I wanted to mention a couple different resources we have to help you in preparing for that. So we do have a couple different workshops, which you can see in our My Career events calendar. So we have resume, cover letter, interview workshops, which might be helpful for you. I mentioned the cover letter and resume review appointments. We also have tip sheets, which are available on our website, and our Queen's Best Resume magazine, Queen's Best Cover Letter magazine, and our brand new Queen's Best Interviews magazine. A couple frequently asked questions. How many student jobs are available? That's kind of our approximation. This morning from the coordinator of the program, she mentioned that there were 133 jobs that were submitted for a total of 206 SWEP positions overall. So the reason why those numbers are different is sometimes there's more than one position for a job. They might be hiring a couple people for it. So those are moving through our approval process right now. The majority of them oftentimes do get approved, and there is sometimes some collaboration with the employer to make sure that's going to be a strong enough experience based off of the program as well. So just a little bit of an indication, we're in that approximation, maybe even a little bit above. As for how much you'll get paid, $16 per hour is the standard for it with 4% vacay pay. And they tend to be full-time jobs. When it comes to flexibility, that would be something you'd have to discuss with the employer potentially in the interview. So that's kind of a case-by-case situation. So a couple things I just wanted to mention before I pass the mic over. We have a couple of career workshops coming, or sorry, career fairs coming up this spring. We've got our engineering and technology fair, and we've also got our summer opportunities fair coming up. We also have a general jobs board in My Career to check out. I want to mention our drop-in. So if you have a quick kind of 5-10 minute conversation kind of question, feel free to visit us in drop-in. That's Monday to Thursday in the afternoons from 1:30 to 3:30. And once again, you can find the link in our events calendar in My Career. You can also book your resume and cover letter review appointments in there. And I want to mention career consultations too. So if you have, really that's kind of our catch-all for any kind of career questions you have, whether it's what do I do with my career? What are my career options? How do I apply for grad school? Kind of the whole gambit. Feel free to check us out there. That's everything I've got. Thanks, folks.
So yeah, so that was our first little presentation. So let me share my screen again, and then we'll move on to the next speaker and the next presentation. So we are waiting actually on Karen to talk about the USSRF program. We'll announce when she arrives. She's just running late. So I'm gonna cover it quickly, and then we're gonna move to NSERC, which is also taught by Karen. And while I maybe outline them, then you'll get the chance to see Jessica, who is actually a student we did NSERC in McMaster, so she can tell you how she did it and how she how you can participate in this type of programs. So first of all, the USSRF, the undergraduate student summer research fellowship is actually going in here with NSERC. But this is for the arts, so we won't be spending too much time on it. We just wanted to mention it because it is interesting to know that there is a equivalent for art students. So social sciences and humanities can go through this program. And except for that, the deadline is in February and March. You can find more information about this program on the research services website of Queen's. So then moving on to NSERC quickly, and hopefully Karen will join us later and be able to give you a bit more of information on this program. NSERC is one of the main fundings in Queen's to actually give students opportunities to work in the summer with professors. So the way it works is that you actually need to find a professor that will be your supervisor. And by the deadline by February 26th is to submit the full application with your supervisor to participate in the program. So this actually gives you different payments to pay you through the summer to work with a professor. And for that, you need to have a research plan for the summer and to work towards toward a goal. So usually students do the NSERC program in third year so that they can move on through their third year to fourth year with a first research that leads into thesis research. So yeah, Karen will hopefully be able to give you more information about NSERC, but we can move on to Jessica, who can tell you about her experience. So let Phoebe share screen for this for her part of the presentation. And yes, thank you so much for your understanding about that. So thank you.
Okay, yes, I guess I'll get started. So I'm Jessica. I'm in my third year of physics and also Con Ed. And I spent my summer this summer doing kind of research, and it was actually remote, but it was supposed to be at McMaster. And yeah, that's it for my introduction. And yeah, basically what I did was kind of non-traditional, at least how I applied. And I guess hopefully Karen actually does come in to talk about the traditional one. But if you're interested in what NSERC is in general, if you just go to that website, they have all the information there. And it really does vary from institution to institution. So I think almost every main Ontario university, and it may be even Canada, Canadian university has NSERC. So definitely reaching out to the department. So if you're in biology, reaching out to the biology department at that institution to get more information. But yeah. And then I'm just going to describe how I applied, and I really think it really does depend on what program you're in and what institution you're looking at. But for me, I'm in physics, so I got an email from the undergraduate assistant from my program, and it was an email for all second, third, and fourth year physics and engineering physics students. And then how I applied is I had to submit an official up-to-date transcript. And then there's a form that's on this website called the NSERC Form 202 Part 1. And then it's just it's very general. So you just put your name and date, and you're not really writing an essay at all. It's just very basic things. And then the actual writing was the third part where I had to submit my what my interests were in physics and whether I had any coding experience. This is all physics related. And I actually didn't need to submit any reference letters. So it was very a very simple process. Like I said, this is kind of non-traditional, so I'm not exactly sure what it would look like in other situations, but it could look like this for you. And then you also need to pick like 2 of your favorite like projects from the list. So for me, I like picked 2, but then I ended up with a project that wasn't even on the list. So I feel like sometimes they also like find professors last minute. And like, because I was second year at this point, like I think like Amber was saying, like second years are kind of a little bit less likely to get projects just because like they prioritize third years. But if you do have like, if you wrote a great thing or like you have great marks or like you're just showing a lot of interest, I think that will really help. And also like reaching out to the professors directly, I would highly recommend doing that as well. But yeah, that was my process. And then in terms of like the actual like research experience, so because mine was remote, definitely if it is in person next year, like it probably won't really look like this, but I had regular meetings with my 2 supervisors. And usually how like research works is like it's in groups. So like my research group had like had grad students and the supervisors. So I would like meet with all of them and we're all working on like the same kind of topic, but like all different projects, but very similar. So we would like discuss and share ideas. And then I did spend like the majority of the time doing things on my own, other than those meeting times. And at least for me, it was just like a lot of like simulations and coding, but like related to a certain project. And then at the end, I made like a small presentation that usually I think would be in front of like the entire department, and like all the like profs would be there to like ask you about things. And then I also like kind of worked on the actual like paper that the whole project was going towards, but we didn't actually end up finishing that. So I think that's like a pretty normal thing. Like you probably won't finish an entire thing during the summer, but you're like part of that contribution, which is cool. And then I think I spent about 6 to 8 hours a day on average from Monday to Friday. But I think because it was remote, it was really hard to structure my day. So I ended up like working on the weekends too, and just like kind of sporadically. So that could happen if it's remote in next summer, but that was kind of like what my day-to-day day looked like. And then if I had like 3 pieces of advice, if you're going for like kind of a non-traditional approach, or like actually just any kind of research in general, I would definitely choose something you're actually interested in. I found like the project I chose, because it wasn't like one of my top 2, I wasn't really too engaged during the summer, and it was hard to focus. And like thinking about the fact that summer is like 16 weeks, you really do want to make sure like you're interested in it. And also know that like NSERC is definitely not the only way to get a research opportunity. Like I would definitely reach out to departments or profs or like anything, just to get more information about what's available, because like they don't always post everything. And like usually I feel like people get things when they like find out behind the scenes and it's not like posted. And then yeah, like I said, actively contact your departments. And yeah, that was my 3 pieces of advice for research. I think that is it. Yeah. If anyone, I mean, I don't know if I can answer like normal NSERC questions, but if anyone has any questions related to what I did, I can definitely answer those.
Yeah, so thank you. So if you have questions, we'll cover them at the end of the presentation.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Jessica, for speaking. So Karen is still not here, but I'm gonna quickly cover again for NSERC and maybe answer a bit of your question. So don't stress too much about NSERC, because every single department in Queens indeed like has an NSERC program. It's a Canada-wide program, as Jessica mentioned. And so once you actually, the deadlines are going to start coming, you all will get an email from your department that will encourage you to apply. It's one of the most talked about programming in Queens, at least. And it's because it's actually one of the main ones you have to give professors funding. So professors love NSERC because it allows them to have students that are dedicated and actually work for them through the summer on as Jessica mentioned, a specific research that they did. So indeed, as someone mentioned in the chat, this is part of the biomedical science website in Queens, but that was just as an image to represent the NSERC program. Every single program has it. And once you will start receiving the emails about applying, it is true that the first thing you need to do is to find a professor who will be supervising you through the program. And for that, I think the best way is to actually go to your professors or email them and go for a professor, as Jessica said, that covers the topic you're interested in. And then there's 2 parts of the application that you need to submit. You need to submit the first form, and then the second form will be submitted by your professor. So hopefully Karen will join us later and we can move on, to, like go back to this for a more precise set of information. But we just would like you to know that all of this information is available through your faculties, and feel free to like double check it. It's also available on the Canadian website. So this is why you should not be worried about it. And hopefully Karen will come at some point and discuss her program. So yeah, so we'll be moving on a bit and talk about different international summer opportunities and actually global opportunities. So Canada and the rest of the world. So first of all, I'm gonna give the mic to Christine, who is going to talk about MITAX. Then we're gonna have Dominic and Catherine who are going to talk about EAST. And then we'll be covering the Ontario Baden-Württemberg and the Ontario Rhône-Alpes programs, as well as the RISE-DAD program. So Christine, hopefully I'm gonna let Phoebe share her screen this time again for your slides. And I'm excited to hear about MITAX opportunities.
Perfect. Thank you, Amber. Can I just confirm you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So my slideshow is short and sweet, just 2 slides. The first slide that's up there, I just wanted to introduce what MITAX is and introduce myself as well. So MITAX, you likely may not have heard in this, career stage, you may not have heard of what MITAX is, but we are a national not-for-profit organization. So we're a funding organization. We receive money from the government, and we help support collaborative research projects involving academic researchers like yourselves and non-academic partners. And so the spirit of our programs are to provide training, experiences, and internship opportunities to students registered at Canadian universities. And so my name's Kristen. I live in Kingston. I work very closely with Queen's researchers across campus on all levels. And if you ever had a question about a MITAX program, you can reach out to me directly, and I can definitely guide you with next steps. So please take down my contact information there, and don't hesitate to reach out if you want to explore any opportunities. So I just thank you for switching the slides. So I just really wanted to highlight a couple of programs here that are relevant to the audience. So, being undergraduate students, we have some programs that are more catered to graduate school students and postdocs. But these are 2 programs that I think are very, they could be, a little bit underutilized, but also maybe not top of mind. You may not have heard of them before. So just to bring some awareness to them, it's a little different than the other opportunities that were discussed previously. And so the first one I want to talk about is MITAX Global Link Research Award. So as the name suggests, this is an international exchange for students. So it allows so students registered at Canadian universities to travel abroad to work with a research group. So you would need like a supervisor there. So a professor at a host institution, so an international university that would host you to work on a research project. So it provides funding for that. The award right now is $6,000 that would go towards the travel and the supporting the research project. I will note that for this, to apply for this award, you do it through your institution. So every institution is a little different, as I've heard that already during this meeting previously. And so I work very closely with Queen's, and I understand how Queen's runs this program. And so there is like an internal call because Queen's can only support a certain number of applications per year. And so there is a call for intent to apply to this program at Queen's, and I could help guide you on that. So if you ever were interested in an opportunity, I would say you would need to have a professor at the university that was willing to support you with the application process. So, you know, if you're a fourth year student doing, you know, a thesis, then obviously your thesis supervisor would make sense. Or if it's just a professor that you got to know throughout your courses, and you could talk to them about it, but you could also reach out to me and I could point you in the right direction as well. I provided the link there that will take you to our MyTax homepage that gives you a high level overview of what the program is. Basically, it supports any type of research project in any discipline, but it does need to provide a unique experience and have a strong benefit to Canada to apply. The next program that I just want to highlight, I would say this is our flagship program. It's called MyTax Accelerate. And this is different in the sense that it's not just an academic collaboration. This is where we're bringing in a non-academic partner. So it's really providing an internship type experience. The spirit of the program is that you're gaining a meaningful experience outside of academia, interacting with an industry partner or maybe a community organization or a not-for-profit organization. So you're working on a research project that directly benefits the partner organization, but also benefits obviously the research field or the academic themselves as well. So it's a mutually beneficial project. You can do this domestically, which most of these applications are, where you're working with maybe someone local, whether you're in Kingston or not. We're all doing virtual interaction now anyways. Or you could even do international research projects, so with companies abroad even. So this is slightly different in that you do need to have that non-academic partner. And what we do is we provide funding for this, which would give you a minimum stipend to work on that project for a prolonged period of time. The program is very flexible. Usually at an undergraduate level, you're doing about a 4-month project. Over the summer makes sense, right? So you know, within a 4-month period, the minimum stipend would be $10,000. And this would be cost shared by MyTax and the partner organization. I think I probably leave it short and sweet there, and I'll stay online in case there's any questions. But again, if you want to reach out, a lot of these opportunities are best treated on a one-on-one approach anyways. I did want to note though that for MyTax programs, they're open to any student that's registered at a Canadian university, so both domestic and international students. So there's no limit there. And yeah, I think I'll end it there. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you so much for speaking about MyTax, which I actually know a bit about MyTax because I applied in the past and I actually received the Global League Award for our internship in France. So if you guys have questions about that as well, we can talk about it later. So yeah, thank you so much, Christine. We're gonna move on to I'm gonna leave the mic to Catherine and Dominic. We're going to talk about their program as well. And hopefully they can share the slides. So if you're okay with that, I'm gonna mute myself again and please feel free to take over the screen.
All right, sounds good. Well, first of all, thank you for having us. So we are ISD, or oops, that's the last slide. That did not happen. Okay, so we're the International Association for the Exchange of Students for Technical Experience. And since it's a very long name, we just kind of stick with our acronym. So we are an international organization that actually started in 1948 after the war, trying to increase cooperation around the world. So we're found in 87 countries. There's more than 3,000 volunteers. And then the entire point of the organization is to do internships abroad. So they're like one-on-one exchanges. The more students we accept in Canada, the more Canadian students we can send abroad. And they're all study related. Most of them are in engineering, but you can also see some in like computer science or biomedical. There's even some for business and architecture. They're constantly changing depending on what is available each year. And they also vary depending on the length. So some of them might be only for the summer, some of them are year round. And ISD will help with like the visa, dealing with the government, getting your work permits and all that, accommodation, so trying to find a place to live, And as we're composed of a bunch of tiny like local committees or local clubs, you can actually join events with other people who are coming to work in that same city and people who already live there. So you get to travel around, get to know the place better. And a lot of positions are actually in Europe. So they can even do like little weekend trips to like nearby countries or nearby capitals. Europe is definitely the most popular, as like Germany and Switzerland have a lot of positions. Then all these positions are compiled together onto a job board, which you can access at isd.org or through isd.net. So there's multiple websites, all the information is on there. It's like a treasure trove of everything you could ever ask and all the answers you ever need. And then here at Queen's, we're just a small club, we're only like 15 people, but we try to do events, marketing, reach out to different companies, make sure we're staying in contact with DLC or the National Committee of Canada. And if you ever have any more questions, because I definitely gave a very brief overview of the program, feel free to contact us through our social media or through email, and we'd be more than happy to help out. So you can find your own internship abroad, work over the summer, combine working with a trip. Why not? So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for talking about the IST program as well. So I'm gonna share my screen again. Sorry, it's just getting a bit of a technical difficulty, but I should be solving it soon. And we can move on to the next program. So as you can see today, it's a lot of like very short. Oh, so sorry. I'm very sorry about that. We're talking very shortly about each program because we don't have time to cover them all in longer terms. But please be aware that all of these, we will share our presentation with the different informations, and all of these will be available for you to check out later. So here we're going to talk quickly about another program that is organized by the International Exchange Office in Queens. So they could not join us today for the presentation, but they gave us some slides and some information that we definitely will share with you, so we can discuss this program as well. So these programs are specific exchanges for either Germany or France. There's two programs. They work also during the summer. And first, be aware that the pictures are all part of like past students that did the program. And they are, so first let me talk about the Ontario Baden-Württemberg program. So these are programs that you can visit and discover more on the IPO, the International Office website. They are going to send students in either a university or a research facility in France or in Germany, where you can basically be part of research, of 3 months research internship. The length of the internship can vary based on like how long you can be in the country, and be aware that even though COVID is happening, those are still open and happening this year. So you will hopefully be able to go and be part of it. Just be aware that this might be canceled later on, but so far it's still available. So yeah, so you don't need to speak German or French to be part of these programs. You need to find your own placements. So that's something that you need to be aware of. It's like you will be in contact with the international office that will help you figure out past universities that actually were part of the programs like in the past, and you can talk to them and be able to organize your trip to either one or the other. So here is the Ontario Rhône-Alpes in France. So as a tip that we have for the students in general is like these programs are actually important to discover experience, such as exchange experiences in the summer, instead of like going through like the full credits applied international exchanges. So yeah, so they are pretty available, and I'm gonna quickly put the slides about the different deadlines for these programs. So you have until December 8th or January 22 to apply. And at the end of this slideshow, we will show some contacts for you to get more information if you are interested. So yeah, so this concludes the programs by the International Office. And now we're going to move to the last program of the day. And after that, we will stay a bit longer for you guys to ask questions if you have any, or to refer you to the contacts that need to be referred to. So the Rise That program is personally one of my favorites out of all the programs. It's an exchange program in Germany where you will apply for a science or an engineering university to do a summer research program. It is very similar to the Ontario Rhode-Alpes and the Baden-Württemberg programs, as that you will be 3 months in another university under the supervision of a local professor. So the one thing that is good about these programs, though, is that Rise That doesn't ask for you to pick a professor or to look for a professor yourself. The way it works is that you can apply through their website, as you can see here. And the website will allow you to select projects that are posted by German professors in German universities and PhD students as well. And you select 3 projects that you're interested in, the top 3, and then you need to write your cover letters for each of them, and you need to write to give your CV and your grades to each of them, and then the program will actually match you with a project. So it is a term of like top 3 projects that you want to be part of, and technically every single student that applies actually gets a project. So it is very nice in the way that there is competition, but everyone is actually sure to get a project at the end. The one thing you need to make sure, though, is like you have a professor to give you a reference letter to participate, and be sure to actually complete the application before the deadline. So the application actually already started and will end in December 15th, and then the time for your professor to send a reference letter is December 22. So I encourage people to participate. It's a nice program. And yes, just one detail, you need to be a returning student to be part of the Rise That program. So yeah, so before we conclude, and it's almost the end of the allocated time, we just wanted to outline that there is also the ICES Student Research Grant that we will not be covering today because we actually don't know much about it, but it is definitely a resource that you guys should check out. And also, there is other things on campus that you can be part of, such as the case competition that we talked about before, that are good opportunities to get involved. Or if you have any poster you ever have, you can also ask Inquiring Queens if you can have them hang out in Stafford. So yeah, so of course these experiences are important because it can help you to get important research experience for your master's or PhD. And also you can have them transfer over, if you can, to like any research summer experience you get on 3rd year or 4th year can actually move on and be something more important and more interesting. So thank you so much for listening to us. I'm gonna let Ella, our co-president, talk for the concluding notes, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your questions right after. Be aware that all these programs were very quickly seen today, but there is so much more information out there about every single one of them. It can be applied for many situations, and hopefully you enjoyed today's presentation. So Ella, if you want to take over.
Sure thing. So I'm Ella, in case you missed me at the beginning. I'm the other co-chair. So this brings us to the end of the presentation. So just some quick life tips. Remember that your undergraduate degree is all about you, finding out what you like and don't like to do. So don't stress too much about things. You're really just trying to figure out what you like, what you don't like. And you necessarily don't even have to love research. Some people think they're gonna love it, and they don't. It's perfectly okay. Some people think they're gonna hate it and end up liking it. So like, honestly, don't stress about it too much. You'll figure it out. And remember that grades are important, but they're not the most important part. The connections you make along the way are even more important. So make sure you talk to people. And just a big thank you to everyone that came out, listened to our presentation, and especially a big thank you to all of our speakers. You guys presented the information great. And Well, now we're just going to be hanging out. So some of our exec members and some of the speakers are going to hang out here for another 30 minutes or so. If you guys have any questions, we didn't get a chance to answer a lot of your questions during the presentation. And as was mentioned earlier, here are some of the contact of all of our speakers or the programs that were mentioned. So feel free to take a quick screenshot of that. We will be sharing this presentation, and as you guys have noticed, this meeting is being recorded. So we will be sharing that with you guys as well. We'll be sharing that likely through our social medias and through the mailing list. So if you want to be added to the mailing list, feel free to just drop your email in the chat. We will add you and we will send this out as soon as we can.
So thank you. So if you want to ask questions, we'll try to answer as much as we can. Please feel free to write them in the chat. There is a few questions I saw that I can start answering about the Rise That program. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that. We can move through the presentation a bit now and feel free to ask more specific questions. But yeah, so Rise That is free to you apply for free and you actually get money to actually work in the university. The one thing you need to know though is like I think the cost to fly to Germany are not paid by the program, but the living costs are covered. So the interest of that program is that you have a full paid internship in Germany for almost, I mean, the ticket of the flight is expensive, but I'm actually not even sure that it's a paid, you need to pay for it. You will have to double check the website, but it is a great program. And it's available for any Canadian student to do an exchange. So yeah. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm gonna try to monitor the chat a bit, but if Phoebe and Ella, you feel free to also point me some questions. I don't see the chat on the screen, to be honest, so it's a bit hard for me to follow right now. So yeah, if there is any, should we do rooms maybe for the different speakers if works with you? Phoebe, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. I can create some breakout rooms, and then if you guys wanted, you guys can join them. They could also post it into the chat, and then if the speakers are comfortable, they can feel free to answer the questions in the chat as well.
Yeah, I think I see some questions. I wish I could like show the chat as a full-on window for people to see the questions, but feel free also to interrupt me and to speak about the program. I think we have some questions for you, Christine. If you're still here, would you like to answer some of them?
Sure. I think I see one of them anyways. And it was a great question asking about, for both programs that I spoke about, the positions aren't necessarily assigned. And so how would you go about finding that opportunity and seeking out that opportunity? So our programs are really, really flexible. So I'm going to start with the Global Link Research Award. I wouldn't say that we post positions per se. Usually if you have a cool research idea and you know, you can reach out to a professor at the university, but you know, you could become making the opportunity yourself. So it doesn't actually have to be a position already. You can kind of create it. So if you talk to a professor at Queen's and says, this is what I'm interested in, and this research, you have to do your homework a little bit and not know which research group abroad would be interested in working with you. And usually there's a mutual benefit for that relationship. You know, maybe you'll go there and learn a technique that you'll bring back to the lab you're working at Queen's. Or perhaps you're going to bring a technique to their lab. You know, so usually a professor is not going to say no if you're bringing your own funding. So if you're going to say, we're going to apply to Mitacs Global Link Research Award to receive funding, then usually that host professor at a university abroad is very welcoming. This happens a lot. You know, there's a lot of exchanges going on, as we heard, and it's something that they would support. So you do need to find that support before you can apply. Usually what I see that works best is working with your department or a professor in your department to kind of explore opportunities. Okay, so that's the global link. For Mitacs Accelerate, this is a great question. We actually have a website. On our website, we have a page that's called Researchers Wanted. And this is actually where, you know, part of my job is working with industry partners and going out to local organizations to understand what challenges they are facing and what type of expertise they need. So sometimes we post projects on our website that says, this is the type of expertise that I need, or this is the type of student that I'm looking for. And so you could find opportunities that way. I will say right now on our website, we have a lot of opportunities posted for engineering and computer science type projects, but you can definitely filter through them. And there is, we are open to all disciplines, and we get projects in, you know, even in this, in biology and chemistry, in all different types. So that's a resource for you. Another resource would be to just speak again with your network. You can contact me. We have blogs and tips and suggestions on how to connect with non-academic partners. We used to say attend networking events. Now those might be virtual, but they still exist. And so again, just finding, you know, building the relationship. The application is actually the easy part once you have the relationship with the partner organization. So that's
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So if I can add to that very quickly, Mitacs is very a good resource for that, because it really allows you to talk and contact a lot of people from very different fields to actually allows you to do research. When I applied for the Global Lake Internship Award, I actually did the other way than what Christine mentioned. I actually found first a lab abroad I wanted to work with because I was really interested in their research. And then after contacting them and discussing with them, and they had a position for me, but they did not have the funding for me, then I contacted Mitacs and I contacted a professor in Queens that might benefit from this interaction with me going to that program, to that lab, and working with them. And this is how I got the global internship, the global award, the Global Link Award. I'm so sorry. I'm getting tired after a long day. But yeah, so those are programs that ask for you to be quite independent in the way you find programs, but they also allow you to have many opportunities to work in the field you like, and to also discover research in a very new and interesting way. So yeah, sorry, Christine, for interrupting you. I did not mean to.
No, not at all. And I appreciate your contribution there, because you experienced it. So it's really nice to hear that. Yeah, and so you do have to be a little bit independent. You need to kind of seek out the opportunity yourself. But then I can help along the way, or we will help along the way. I'll mention one more thing is that I work really closely in Eastern Ontario and Queens in particular, but I have colleagues all across Canada. And so, you know, we work with companies all across Canada. And so if you have a strong interest and you say, I really want to get an introduction to this company, if we have a connection there, we can definitely provide soft introductions, which could lead to opportunities as well. So, you know, use your network and don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions.
So thank you. I'm seeing more questions. I just would like to thank Alan very much for answering a lot of them. It is very nice of you to cover this. It is. We did not expect to have that many people joining us, so it is nice to see that people are involved. If there is any question that you would like me to highlight or to guide through for an answer, please feel free to post it again, so I can maybe.
I see one that hasn't been answered yet.
Which one?
It's the one that says, due to the current pandemic, interacting with professors and asking for volunteer opportunities may be more difficult. How would a first-year student be able to go about finding volunteer opportunities?
It is a very important one, I feel, especially today because of the pandemic. I think the principal thing you need to be aware of is to know what you want to work in volunteering. And I think you're going to have to contact a lot of professors before you can find someone that will actually have a program for you, or something like a project for you. It is hard to volunteer online in the The thing is that there's a lot of data collecting projects, or just in general, professors are always happy to have students interested in their labs. So while it is harder, I think the best way is still like to go through the different departments and find professor that you're interested in, or research you're interested in, and professor as well, and contact them directly, ask them what they think. It is hard to get yourself out there. I completely understand it, and I agree with you. It is not an easy time. But once you have this chance to talk to them, it can only be a positive interaction, because professor will never tell you that to, like, they will never think bad of that. They love to have students interested in the research, and offering your help through whatever you think is worth offering your help to. They might say that they don't have anything, but they will probably like know that you're interested, and if they have something, then you will be aware of it. Volunteering is definitely harder, but feel free definitely to reach out, and it is always nice to have this type of interactions. So that would be my advice. If there's anyone else with something maybe to say as well, but yeah, hopefully you can find something. Yeah, and as Alan said, literature reviews are like, so if I go back to maybe some of the slides at the beginning of the presentation on how to get involved in general and how to write programs, how to write for your programs. So it's the one thing that is hard with COVID is to actually get data that you can actually work with. But there is other ways to get you to write about projects and things like that. You can write biographies. You can write about techniques in the field that you think are interesting, or you can try to work with cohort studies and things like that. There is a lot of database that are actually free to use and out there for many different subjects, and data that is already ready to be used and ready to be worked with. So those are important and interesting. Literature reviews, as we mentioned, are papers that you write about the already existing research in a field. This type of writing can be very tedious, very long. Maybe sometimes it's not going to bring you anywhere, but it is nice to get to know how to do these and to actually practice on it. So again, this is why we mentioned that you can get involved through like different journals. This is not really volunteering experience or working with a professor all the time, but check out these journals, try to read about it, get involved, go to conferences, even online. You can get so much experience and information just from participating in these. There's also competitions, as we said, that provoke, like that makes you write and makes you like involved. These are all great things that you can do, and these ask for a lot of like self work and things like that. But once you get it, it's very, very rewarding to know that the biography of a scholar you wrote about is published in a journal, even if it's a short one, or that you really like to talk about, I don't know, NMR, and you really want to show that NMR is such new things happening every month about it, and you want to write a paper about it. It's always great. It's all of this is something that are not always accessible, that you don't always find like you can do it, but I think you should all know that everybody is able to write. It's a big part of university, and yes. Oh, the seminars I was talking about, like such as the seminar series. This is from the chemistry department. So I don't know if this one is open to public, but I know that every single department offers weekly, or usually they offer seminars every month that you can join. So I will encourage you to find seminars by going into the different websites for the different faculties and to see if they offer seminars. If usually when they show, like this one that is December 11th, for example, is shown on their main page. So that's why I'm assuming that it's available for anyone to join. If you have any doubts about joining a seminar, then please email the department and they will tell you if it's a public seminar or if it is something you can join. Also, one thing is great is that everything is online, so you can join seminars from basically any university in Ontario. It's usually a professor talking about his research, and it is great because it allows you to have an idea of like how it looks like, first of all, when you want to be part of it. And hopefully when the university will go back to its usual rhythm, you will be able to join these in person. And it's a nice networking opportunity. Usually master students or graduate students like go to them as part of their courses, but it's open for anyone who's interested. So yeah. Any other questions that are applying? Oh, so for experience, I think Alan probably answered that, but if it's a good idea to mention it as well. They know you have no experience beforehand. Every single professor you will ever contact is very aware of like how of a newbie you are, and I don't mean that at all in a bad way, but we all were here at some point with no experience and wondering how who would get our first chance. And the thing is that you should not worry about it because they all know that you're gonna work your as much as you can to compensate for that. Also, it's normal that it's a learning experience for you, and this is why it's important to try anyway to participate. Most of the programs that we talked about today for applying will actually ask for you to show your grade. Sorry about that. Show your grade, but they offer you like applying anyway will offer you a good way to know how this works. So yes, so experience is always hard to get, especially if you know what it is. But anything you can do in class or anything you can do in general in your academic degree will base and build this experience. And this is why the one person I will like ask you to contact is actually Joshua about it, or career services, because career services will help you build your resume, as I said, and help you build your understand what you can offer in any program or any type of situation. So they will help you with your CV, your cover letters, and things like that. To actually, they will tell you that whatever experience you have is valuable in a way or another. So yes, most programs don't ask for experience; they ask for grades. Anyway, most of the experience you'll get through schoolwork, and that is great, and that's what people expect of you. So feel free to also reach out to career services and to participate in their workshops. They have very good workshops. They can very much apply what you need to know.
I also just wanted to add to that too. If when the time comes, if the time comes that you're looking to apply to grad school, part of that may be to write and put together a research statement or a personal statement. That's something that we dedicate a fair amount of time with students in putting together so that you can communicate what aspects of your research experience or how you would like to represent maybe your research agenda or what you'd like to do for grad school when that time comes. Just plant that seed early.
Thank you so much for mentioning that. So is there still questions coming in? If I feel bad for keeping our speakers so long. So if there is no more questions, then we'll probably end the event. Again, we'll share as much as we can the information that was said today to the different Facebook and email list that we have. So please feel free to double check it later and to try to participate in these programs. I'd like to thank again the speakers that came today and gave their time to this very short time, but I hope informative session of workshop. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure for me to organize this and to actually talk with everyone. Everybody was so helpful, and I would really like to show this slide again because a lot of people that did not came today, such as the International Office, gave us very good resources, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. So have a great day, everyone.